All right, item number 4, cartel application for a 5-year extension permit for the Big Wave Contest event through March of 2021. Mr. Bernardo.
Well, is there a
Question,
staff report?
Okay.
Is there going to be public, how are we going to do this?
We're going to have
Staff report?
Yeah, a staff
let's
report,
go with
please.
staff report, then we've got quite a bit of public comment.
So I just want to comment that, in addition to what's already written in the staff report, that what occurred now is, when I first came on board, we had the issue of had a multi-year permit been issued. The conclusion that I reached, which I know is not unanimous, is that apparently staff thought they had issued one, but it may not have been clear that the commission was aware that they had that such a permit was multi-year. Or it may not have been clear according to policy that could have been done. It's still not clear to me according to policy whether we have been set up for multi-year permits, but in any case, at that time I resolved that before myself or your new GM tackles this problem, you would give direction. So the same issue of can we do a multi-year permit, are you interested in a multi-year permit, could be resolved. There's, looking only from the point of view of the district, in looking at where you will get the most information as to whether you want to go for a multi-year permit. The April recommendation was there because you would have the event, you would have time to think about the event, how it was being run, with the event getting bigger, with cartels involved, you'd have the full event to evaluate. That's not to say that, and I've had good conversations with Jeff Clark and others, that there aren't arguments that can be made that are good ones as to how the event can be better with an earlier permit. And I know from talking to people on both sides that there is an open-mindedness to at least discuss, what are the advantages from an earlier permit? What are the advantages for allowing the district to have more time to deliberate? Staff really is happy with any conclusion that you reach that works for you and for the community in making a deliberative, the best decision that you can with the best information available. And the last thing I want to say is one thing I'm completely convinced of from talking, being one of the people that talks to all sides in this, is that everyone I have talked to is committed to this being a very good and successful event, and it really can be approached as a discussion among community partners. There really is not any desire other than to make sure that this is a really good event and it works out well for the participants and for the district that I've run into.
And if I could just add one thing, which is that as I read the report and the agenda item, the matter before you is whether or not to consider this issue at this meeting or another meeting, not whether or not to consider the substance of granting a permit or not granting a permit. And I mention that only because I am aware that the last time this issue arose, President Matoush recused himself from the conversation. And so if this conversation is going to go beyond a matter of timing only, I just think that's a cautionary note.
So what you're saying is that we can discuss the process regarding a extended permit. Is that the right way to term it? But we can't discuss actually approving a permit because we're not prepared to do that.
I think you should take action on the recommendation to postpone this discussion until, what is it said, April 2016 or not.
And that could be anything related to timing, such as let's talk about it next meeting, let's talk about it 30 days after the event, let's talk about it at the end of November. It could be any of those timing issues. It's a question of when that will, after hearing all the discussion, when that will allow you to make the decision you're most comfortable with.
I have one clarifying question. The district's event policy or permit, I think it had some gray areas and needed some clarification. I think, is that in the process of being updated, or where are we at with that?
Some of you may have studied it better than me, and there are practices that contravene this, but I have not seen in the policy a mention of multi-year permits. Some of you will remember I brought a similar permit matter where we had one permit and we gave different events throughout the year that we'd been doing for a long time, but I really brought it back to you because I hadn't seen it in policy. So I think the policies have, perhaps to be generous, been interpreted in certain ways, but it's clear now that the direction of the board is to either be specific as events come up and hopefully to bring forward a revised event policy that addresses these questions and is clear enough so that anybody who reads them will know how they're supposed to respond to a permit request, which I can certainly say is still a struggle for me.
So to further clarify that clarifying question, has the staff had time to even delve into trying to revise our event policy, or or have we worked on that yet, or is that in progress, or is that on the list to do?
That's one of those things on the to-do list, for sure.
Okay.
All right, I'd like to start some public comment here, and bear in mind, we're not making a decision on the permit. What we're discussing is whether we discuss this in April or at another meeting. So that would be the relevant, pertinent factors to item number 4. Sharice McHugh, please.
Good evening, Commission. I'm Sharice McHugh. I'm the CEO of the Half and Bay Coastside Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau. And I'm coming tonight to maybe give you a little bit different perspective on this event. It might surprise some people that we get people in our office just about every day looking for Mavericks or where Maverick Surf is held. And we explain to them it's hard to get to, doesn't matter, we just want to go see it. Well, this time of year you don't really have the big waves, doesn't matter. They just want to go see it. We're open 7 days a week, so exclusive of some holidays. This event takes place 2 days a year. We have people coming in basically almost 363 days asking about it. Now, some of these people may be just driving through and just going there. Most of them are here for at least a meal. A lot of them stay for a couple of days. They shop on Main Street, they go to the harbor. So one of the things I want to sort of just have you maybe get your head around is that these people drop money into our community all those days. This is not just a 2-day event. Pumpkin Festival certainly put Half and Bay on the map to a certain extent. The Ritz-Carlton, when it was built in March of 2001, definitely put us on the map. A lot of people said to me anyway, really? They're building a Ritz-Carlton in Half Moon Bay? I'm sure all of you have gotten that. Yes, we have something to offer. When Mavericks came along, that basically put us in a whole new ballgame. You can almost go anywhere in the world, with obviously some exceptions, and talk to someone and say, where do you live? Well, San Francisco, because everyone in the world knows San Francisco. 30 miles south of San Francisco. Where is that? Half Moon Bay? Oh, I know where Half Moon Bay is. That's where the Maverick Surf Contest takes place. It's done an enormous amount of making sure that people know and putting this on the map and having people come here. So I'd like you to just put your head around that this is a little bit bigger than a 2-day contest that people come. It's got world recognition without a doubt. Now, the other part of my job is that I put on events. I put on a lot of events. You can't ask people to put on events of this magnitude. Have they made mistakes going along the way? Sure. But they have learned from their mistakes. You have to give them time to put this event on. And it's bad enough that we can't hold this every year because the waves don't cooperate with us. You really want to put this off that long so that this year is totally out of the picture and we can't do anything because This is out in the ocean. It doesn't take place in the harbor. I encourage you to work together. This is about the whole coastside and about our economy. We're a tourism-based economy. I encourage you to get her done. Figure out how you can do this so that you get it done. Thank you.
Matt Calico.
What's going on, everybody? We can all agree that print is real. So I have a laptop tonight. Good evening, Harbor Commission, everybody. My name is Matthew Cavaco. I'm a resident of El Granada, and I come to you tonight as a surfer, a steward, and someone that cares about this community as much as anyone could. I moved into town several years ago with the Coast Guard. As a lifelong surfer, I've looked up to these guys, this competition, these athletes, just like millions of other surfers around the world. So when I ended up as a resident here, seeing what great people they are, befriending a ton of them myself, I kind of made it my goal to make Mavericks, along with a ton of our other local surf spots, a safer, just a safer spot for this whole community. I've done this through a number of different avenues throughout the years, be it working with the event with the Coast Guard, my involvement with the Coastside Fire Department, my work as an EMT, or the work I've done with the event when it was Titans, when it was Big Wave World Tour, when it was the Mavericks Invitational, all its different faces. While most of this work has been done as a volunteer, I see it as kind of like my little contribution back to surfing. It's like that little piece that I give back for what it gives me. I hope in return I might get a couple more waves, make a couple more friends, and maybe if I'm lucky, sharks believe in karma or something like that. In the years I've been doing this, I know there's been like constant turmoil and changes with this event. And honestly, in the name of safety, I've tried to avoid all of this. This is the first meeting I've ever come to. This is the first anything. Obviously, I couldn't even get my thing to print before I got here. So I don't know enough even about all this drama to speak to it and preach to you guys as to what you should do. But I would like to at least put forth a few things that I do know. I know that when these guys first got the permit, they came right to me to talk about safety, to talk about what they could do to make this a safer event. It was like their number one issue. How do we make this a safer event? Because they'd seen past events and they saw things that they can improve upon. And taking this event, they wanted to improve upon it. They met with myself, as well as countless other different agencies, federal, state, local agencies, to develop the most comprehensive incident action plan you've ever seen. And through all the different agencies I've worked with, I've seen a lot of them. I'm not even using the speech anymore. It just blacked out of me. But it's credit to like the tenacity, the determination that all of this Titans team has for safety. It was absolutely paramount for what they were doing and for the contestants, for everybody. The spectators, everybody involved. In that time, Titans has been here. They've been working tirelessly for the safety, for everything, and they've become fantastic stewards, of not only the ocean, of not only the event, but of this community as well. They do all sorts of different events. They've partnered with groups like the Monterey Bay Aquarium to help teach people about how to make the ocean safer. Sean went and did this Operation Surf. They helped wounded veterans get in the water and do all sorts of therapy through getting in the ocean and helping veterans get in the ocean. They team up with the Live Like Zion Award. They made the Live Like Zion Award to help give back to Susie Molosky, who's the widow of Cy Molosky, who died at Mavericks. They do all sorts of things to embed themselves into the community here. Like
Matt, I gotta cut you off. So
Okay.
we've got 3 minutes and everybody here is waiting and everybody's starting to run over. So I apologize, but we have a 3-minute rule.
Okay.
Brian Overfelt.
How's everyone doing? Good to see you guys. Good to see everybody. Gentlemen. I was going to keep this emotionless, Matt, but you're going to make it really hard, dude. That was awesome. Thank you.
I have like 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes. I'll keep this as short as I can, hopefully under 3 minutes. Common denominator. I've watched Jeff run this event since 1999. It's had its ups and downs. It's turns into this. Different companies will come in to help it, different sponsors, different help. The common denominator I've always seen is that you guys have always granted one-year permit. That makes it extremely difficult for our partners to go out and get networks, sponsors, endorsements to help this become a long-term sustainable event. You finally granted us a multi-year permit, and then you ruined it. And do you have any idea the damage that you did to our organization when, if my partners with Cartel are trying to go out and make this a long-term sustainable event with companies and networks, et cetera, and suddenly there's a battle for the Mavericks permit? That doesn't work. It's damaging to us. So the one common denominator has always been a one-year permit, except for the damaged multi-year permit that just happened to us. And who we are. I really don't believe that you all know who we are. There are 3 or 4 of the best big wave surfers in history in this room right now that are supporting our event, that believe in us, that are part of Titans and Mavericks. The Coast Guard, to achieve an SLR from the Coast Guard, to have them come out and make this a safer event, to make sure that the spectators are safe. It's unbelievable what I've seen happen. It's like multiple organizations that have run this event have come together as one to run this event. There's nobody else in this world that can do what we're capable of doing. And if you just look at who we are and what we have put together, through all the many facets that we have, from world-class athletes to world-class agencies to help the talent, the athletes, to the community members like myself, went through the school system, raised on the coast, grew up surfing underneath Jeff, grew up with the Betancourts, played Little League with Jeff and Mr. Dooley in this room. You know, it's a big deal to us. And we need a multiple-year permit to make this thing sustainable for this community. The children love this Mavericks event. They look up to these guys. They're their heroes. They're my heroes. And they work with us. And I just can't express enough to y'all all the hard work that we've put in and all the passion that we have for this and how important this is for this community. And that also includes Pacifica. We've brought in Pacifica and partnered up with them. We've got 2 or 3 of their main community members that are working on this with us. If you learn who we are, you'll be amazed, and your choice will be easy. Thank you very much.
Jeff Clark.
Good evening, Commissioners. What are our goals? Our goals are to have a sustainable event, to be in partnership with this harbor district multiple years. We say we can't do a multi-year event contract? Please. We're your tenants. We have a 5 and 5 year lease agreement. What's the difference? Not much. We're asking for half a mile of dirt and a parking lot at the end of West Coast. You see our success in our event because of how hard we've worked and what we dedicated to this event for 40 years. 20 years of doing the event. Wow, they're really successful. How can we get our hooks in there to take care of the mismanagement of this harbor? I think the focus really needs to be doing what you do best. Let us do what we do best, which is bring in an event that is recognized worldwide, which will bring, if we get a 5-year grant, we'll bring sponsors in. We will have 5 years of bringing people to your harbor that are going to spend money. This is the most amazing place because you have a half-mile dirt trail. Does that mean you're in our pockets? We love your investment into our event because it's not cheap. It's very expensive. We work really hard at this. We want to be partners with the Harbor District. I don't want you to cut yourself out of it. Because being obstructionists, as what we're finding with the inability to author a multi-year event permit, is baffling to me. We had a 3-year agreement. And what's different from that? It's a half mile of a dirt trail. Nothing else. And we actually pay you. We pay your staff. We pay quite a bit to the harbor during that event. Do we pull it all away and just go, this is public access for everything and thank you, but we don't need your permit? What's it going to be? We want to be partners with you.
Daryl. I didn't want to make a mistake on your last name.
Yeah, that was good. Daryl Verosco. I've been coming to Mavericks since 1991. Past champion. I won Mavericks 99, 2004, and 2000. I've been coming here ever since I found this place with Jeff Clark when he showed us a spot. And it's a magical place. We all know that. It brings millions of dollars to this community over the years. And you know, I've been here for every single contest. Now I'm helping, you know, run the contest. I've retired from surfing out at Mavericks, and I'm helping run the contest. And I've watched the contest, and the people that run the contest over the years come in and, you know, turmoil. They want to do their thing. This is a different deal. These guys came in and they came to us, the people that surf Mavericks, that live at Mavericks, the community of Mavericks in Half Moon Bay, and they asked, okay, how could we do this? How can we do this better? They're asking us. They got the right team together. They're not just coming in here and going, we're going to run it this way. Sorry. And it's frustrating to me tonight to have to come up here again for this. We can't get a 3-year commitment from you guys, a 5-year commitment. I get off work. My daughter's crying, Daddy, don't go. I have to go because 1 year is not going to do it. This is frustrating to me that you guys can't just okay this and let this go. We're all working together, the community, everyone. And this is like you guys are picking on us or something. This is absurd and it's frustrating to me. So I wanted to come up here to say that, and I have to come up here and say that because, you know, I'm frustrated. I want this just to run smoothly. It's been so frustrating over the years. We finally have the right team together, and you guys are delaying this process. So please, reconsider this and pass this today, and let's get going. Let's work together. Let's make money for the Half Moon Bay community. Thanks.
Kelsey. Go ahead and say your last name for the cameras, please.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Kaulukukui. There's way too many vowels in that name. Obviously, I'm not Hawaiian, but okay. From Titans and Mavericks, I wanted to read a letter to you guys today provided by Susie Malowski, who could not be here but wanted to express her feelings about Titans and Mavericks to the Harbor Commission. For those of you who do not know, Susie Malowski's husband, Sion, passed away serving Mavericks in 2011, leaving behind Susie and her 2 daughters. While we cannot bring Sion back or alter what happened in the past that caused the devastation to this family, we can change the future. So with that, I'd like to read you Susie's letter. The Titans of Mavericks event is so important to the big wave surfing community, the athletes, their families, and to us. Words cannot express the deep gratitude and love we have for the big wave community at large, especially to the Santa Cruz community and Sion's peers who surf in the Mavericks event every year. Not only does this event carry so much weight among the big wave athletes who are invited every year, but this event is held to help and support the families and athletes of big wave surfing through the funds set up through the Fallen Fund to protect against sudden losses due to the dangers of the sport. I cannot thank the event organizers enough for helping the athletes and their families like ourselves. It is a true blessing for us to have these funds set up to help us in these difficult times. The awareness and camaraderie among the big wave surfing community is deep and authentic. We are blessed and feel so honored to have this prestigious event honoring and perpetuating my husband, big wave surfer Sion Malowski, who passed away at Mavericks in 2011 with a perpetual award in his name, the Sion Mulaski Award. The integrity and values of this event is unsurpassed, and everyone who's a part of this community agrees 1,000%. It is a great thing to be a part of this, and we all hope that this prestigious event continues on for the years to come for all the deserving athletes, their families like ourselves, and the community who supports them.
Cassandra Clark.
That was hard. Thanks, Kelsey. To hear from Sion's family is very meaningful to us, just like this event is. So I apologize. I'm just going to give you a little bit more background because I've heard that some people don't understand our role working with the agencies. In this event, we work with 16 different agencies and organizations to put on this event. The U.S. Coast Guard, the Sheriff's Office, the CHP, the state and county parks, the FAA, NOAA, Vandenberg Air Force Base, CAL FIRE, San Mateo County Planning Department, the San Mateo County Harbor District, just to name a few. When I came into this event with a background in trauma and emergency preparedness, I changed the roles of the agency so that we could be far more collaborative and transparent in the planning of the event. We now work jointly to ensure public safety, coordinate agencies, set up a command center, conduct training, and ensure compliance with local, state, and federal guidelines. This is no small feat. We've worked on this for years now, and it has been so fine-tuned that it is a model for the county. We have built trust, we have built solid working relationships, and we work out issues and differences, and we've put on one amazing event. That's this group. Employees of the Harbor District team are invited to participate in our meetings and our training, and they do, and for that we pay them. It is in these interagency meetings where we would be called out if something went wrong, if something needed tweaking, or if we needed a plan of correction. Never has an agency in this group delved into our proprietary business, but rather to the task at hand to put on a safe and successful event on land, sea, and air. Oversight of our business is neither the role of this board nor the function of the permit we are asking you for. When you ask who is overseeing this event, it is that interagency meeting. It is those 16 groups, which include your employees. That's the oversight of the event and its public safety. The rest of the business is ours. So with this wait and see attitude, we really do need you to understand how that works, and I appreciate you listening. Thank you.
Mark Hurd.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'd like to direct my comments more pointedly to the issue of the reason for the timing of this and why we need to have this matter addressed right away. And to give you some sort of context behind this, when cartel management first was invited into this Mavericks community to participate in the Mavericks event, at that point we had at least 2 years left on a 3-year permit. And on the strength of that knowledge, knowing that they had at least 2 years, over that time, by the last estimates, Cartel has now invested probably $1 million or more to the production of this event going forward. Part of that effort has been through the number of staff people that have gotten involved, the innumerable hours spent speaking with various sponsors, potential sponsors, etc. And all of that additional effort, above and beyond everything that you've heard from the others here before. Then April happened. All of this mishigas about whether or not Mavericks had a valid permit for the 2015-2016 season was a gut punch to Cartel and to the Titans and Mavericks team. The internet became a buzz with, whoa, does Mavericks really have a permit or not? And quite frankly, I think that there was a certain element in this board that contributed to, and I think there's a fair bit of evidence to suggest that there has been at least some assistance to go along with that Michigas that occurred in April and May of this year. We had to come back here on May 20th to get that 2015-2016 permit approved when it had been approved 2 summers ago, okay? The problem with all of this, and the reason for the timing of this request now and the request for immediate action by this board is this. Prior to April of 2015, there were deals on the table, non-disclosure agreements, other deals on the table that were in the high 6 figures per year. Once this hit the internet about our permit issue being a problem, those offers came off the table. They've come back, but at least with one particular sponsor, I can tell you that that offer has been reduced by $500,000 per year. The only way to cure the damage that has been done by what occurred in April and May of this year is that we get a further commitment from this board for a 5-year term so that we can. This is an opportunity for this board to repair that damage, deal with this issue today, grant us the 5-year permit, and move on for all of the economic benefits that have been discussed by the others here today. Thank you.
Griffin Guess.
Dear Commissioners, thank you for hearing me tonight. I'm the President of Cartel Management and the principal behind Tides and Mavericks with my partners here in Half Moon Bay. Just wanted to kind of read you through this, so bear with me. As a native of California from the beaches of La Jolla, I learned at a very young age about respect and integrity. Growing up in the diverse and aggressive surf culture of Windansea Beach, I quickly learned how to respect those that came before me. Sean Dollar and I have been close friends for a few years. However, I had my eye on him in his profession of big wave surfing since the start of our friendship. Since Sean and I, along with many other talented surfers and standers who shared the same passion, we started to explore the ups and downs of his career and our shared vision for a solution. Knowing that he belonged to a very elite group of big wave surfers, it furthered my interest to see how I could help him and the many that share his passion and ensure that in some way they have a viable future towards the risks they take. What kept me up at night was not understanding how a guy like Sean Dollar couldn't find the balance between risk versus reward in serving the world's greatest and most dangerous stage, Mavericks. In my professional career, I've seen those who have become the best in their space reap the reward. That unfortunately has never been the case for a Mavericks athlete, in my opinion. They dedicate themselves unlike no other and put so much on the line for others' entertainment. Sean and I spoke more and more about how and where I could help, and one day he said, "I think I could use your help, sure, but Mavericks needs your help more than me. I'm one of hundreds that have never gotten what they deserved." I took that to heart and eventually found myself at the doorstep of Jeff Clark by the hand of Sean, and for that I'm grateful. Jeff is a true example of doing so much for others and thinking of himself last. It's been his Achilles heel. Jeff opened the door for Mavericks in so many ways and built a cultural significance within Mavericks for the world to embrace for others to take from. Trust is built over time, but passion is immediate. Meeting him, Cassandra, Brian Overfelt, and Jeff found its way into a natural and organic fit. They have invested so much over the years, and people should know that. I'm so grateful to be handed these keys for the future of not only for this event to be built, but for something real with them. Something of value for this community to be proud of. I was invited into this community and into this family of Mavericks, and I truly wouldn't have wanted to enter any other way. Our organization's greatest asset is its people, their hard work and our creativity in re-engineering one of the most compelling natural phenomenons known to man. Our company works feverishly to elevate the lives of others and these athletes, to provide an advantage to the local communities, its businesses, and employ its people. Our group has partnered with global entertainment companies which have only signed up based off of my reputation, and I'm carrying the weight of this for everyone involved with Tides and Mavericks. And I've invested a great deal of time, money, and energy, you name it, into this because I'm passionate about it. I'm here, we are here, to create and build something sustainable for years to come. And I cannot do this in the current climate of our arrangement. I implore you to see the depth of our efforts and the commitments in which we've laid before you today. Please, in this room tonight, And he always told me to close strong or don't close at all. So I will say this. I don't know if this is about Sean and whether he may or may not get something out of Mavericks, or if Jeff will ever get his moment in the sun, or if Sign will be remembered for the years to come. What I do know is we, they, all of us have laid our lives on the line in some way or another at the altar of Mavericks. And what we want to do here is be here together for the long run. Because there's no promise for tomorrow out at Mavericks, just sacrifice.
Mike Alifano.
Okay, Mike Alifano, 660 Magnolia Street, born and raised here on the coast side, and been business here for the last 15 years. Member of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm a spokesperson for the business community. I represent the business community for the school district on many oversight committees for Measure E, Measure S, and Measure B. I'm also past president for the Boys and Girls Club of the coast side. Was a board member there for 8 years. I'm speaking tonight as an individual. I can attest to the huge significance this event and the organizers and the people behind this event have created for the youth in our community. Firsthand, the dollars going to the staff taking care of these kids right here on the coast. And we're not talking, you know, $5,000, $10,000, we're talking close to $100,000. And it's just the noted donations that I've seen help. There's countless other donations that come in because of those large donations. So I can't begin to express how thankful the youth are because of this event, but more importantly, everybody that makes this event possible. I want to read a letter that was sent to the group that runs this, both Mavericks Invitational as well as Cartel, from the CEO of Boys and Girls Club. We're excited to see the new Titans of Mavericks. We're excited to see what the new Titans of Mavericks will bring to this great competition and the ways it will strengthen their partnerships with local nonprofits. Already, Cartel Management and the Marissa Miller Foundation collectively provided $10,000 to our club at the Titans of Mavericks official kickoff this past fall. Their gift has helped inaugurate this next chapter in our relationship with the Mavericks competition. We are so grateful for their investment in the coastside youth and look forward to seeing great things unfold. That was George, the CEO of Boys and Girls Club, the coastside. And, you know, another thing I want to point out to the board, and I'm really hoping we find a way to make this all work, because there isn't another group here representing or here for WSL. And that's the other group that's supposedly been interested in this. And they're not here. They've never filled out a permit. They've never cut a check to you guys. These guys have, time and time again. So what I'm trying to figure out is, why aren't we supporting the organization that's here right now? So it's so important to partner. You're our power partner if we can pull this off. And I'm speaking as a community member when I say that. The other point I wanted to make is, you know, the Pumpkin Festival has the Beautification Committee and Miramar events. They don't have an organization that's from, you know, somewhere else trying to run that event for them. And they've done it for 40-something years. The Dream Machines has Coastside Adult Day as well as Miramar events. Rock the Block and Night of Lights has the Chamber of Commerce. And the Mavericks event has Cartel and Mavericks Invitational. And that is so important that we respect that and we find a way to make this all work. And I do feel you guys can make this happen, and I really do hope it happens. So thanks for your time.
So unfortunately, due to the public process, we can only discuss when to discuss this. So there's a staff recommendation this be postponed until April 6th of 2016. Is there an alternate motion?
Before we start comments on this, I would like to, first of all, thank Matt. And I forgot your last name, but thank you for your service to this country by serving in the Coast Guard.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Mr. President, I look at this agenda item as providing us with an application that's complete, signed. There's a long history of credibility and authenticity, and I would entertain the motion to approve this application this evening, knowing that this application is in front of us, and we've had plenty of public comment regarding the pros and cons of approving or disapproving this agenda item. So I'd like to place in motion that we approve item number 4.
Second.
Well, approving item 4 means that we discussed this at April 6th of 2016. Now, is that what you mean to approve?
I read this as we have an application in front of us that has been provided to the public, to the district staff, and to the commission. And that is my motion, that we approve this item, that we approve this application that's in front of us.
I just want to add, I think that, and this, I'm sure this will be no problem, but normally, my memory of the last time this came up is that a complete application happens on payment, although I'm sure if you approved it,
I have it
you
here
paid
for you,
quickly.
Glenn. If I may, if I understand Commissioner Caravano's motion, it would be to advance that date from the April 2016 date that's in the item agenda and moving it to tonight. And to answer Mr. Lassoff's question, we have a check for $5,000 to submit with the application. Point of clarification here is that based on my dealings with Mr. Miller as legal counsel for the district, he had asked that I submit those things through him to be able to send it to Mr. Lassoff, as opposed to Debbie Nixon, the way it's been done in the past. So that's the way I've done that. It was submitted as a proposed application. We will submit that as an application today, and we do have a cashier's check to pay the fee for that application.
And at that point, we would have a complete application, just to clarify.
Okay, as a point of clarification, does the permit contain language that it continues upon successful completion of each event? Who determines what's successful?
I think it's in the packet, so let me look.
Willing to try again.
I think it says 1 event per year, 5 years. Now, my understanding is that when these applications are accepted as complete, the next thing that happens is that the permit returns after it's written and it becomes a conditional permit. That's what we did this year, correct?
That is what we did this year, correct.
So what would happen is, I think that your only action would be to ask for a completed permit. We would then bring the conditional permit back to you. I do want to, again, say that we're now shifting, and it may or may not be okay under the Brown Act. It seems like the event, people know what the item was about, but we're now shifting the discussion from when to discuss to actually, talking about perhaps at the next meeting or as soon as it's completed, approving the conditional permit.
How long will
on
it?
this application being filed. So I just want to mention that the subject is moving, and particularly make a note that if anybody should have a conflict about the permit approval, they may want to recuse themselves from the discussion. If we're going to move into that.
Through the chair, just point of clarification, because I just want to be very clear on what Commissioner Paravano's motion is, and that what I seconded, and my understanding, please, Commissioner Paravano, is that we are going to approve the cartel application for 5-year extension permit for Big Wave Contest event through March 2021. That was the motion right now, not April 2016. That's your motion. I second that.
What staff would do, we would change the name from draft to application, we would accept the check, and then at that point, and I'm going to use last year as a precedent, because as I said, the events policy isn't clear to me. Using it as a 5-year permit, we would then, write the permit up as we did this year, probably very similar with conditions. And unless I'm directed otherwise about the nature of the permit or some of the conditions that should be in it, the one I would bring back to you would look very much like the one from this year, except with the 5 years in it.
How long would it take staff to update the event policy to make sure that we can approve that and that we iron out all the gray areas and things that weren't quite clear this year?
If I were only to revise for this type of special event, and I think that's part of the thing is I'm not clear on whether the commissioner considers this just a regular special event, or if because of the size and the nature of the scope, it has its own category. But what I could do is write a section on multi-year permits pretty quickly and probably bring it back to you on the next meeting. But that doesn't mean you can't also approve any particular multi-year permit, on a one-by-one basis. I don't know how many of those we actually get, so you can go either way. But I can certainly do a revised section for multi-year permits.
Commissioner Bernardo.
Yeah, I have just a point of clarification. So, okay, what I'm hearing then is the motion by Commissioner Paravano, conditional upon what you said just now about all of this other
we take draft off, we get
paperwork payment stuff that you just discussed. But I just want to get at the core of the motion so that I'm very clear what I seconded. So, conditional upon all of the paperwork things that you said. So that's we're all clear.
What do you mean by the paperwork things you just said?
What Mr. Lazoff said about payment and creating taking the draft off of the document, all of that sort of administrative work.
And I think also I misspoke because I don't believe the permit came back. But what we did do is we worked the permit out with the applicant, and because of your accepting the permit, staff was able to approve the conditional permit, so it didn't have to come back either. Unless there's some dispute that we have in completing it.
And I think just as a clarification, I don't think there was ever any stamp or word processing thing that put draft on top of the permit. This was the permit that we submitted to Mr. Miller on the 27th of July and said, Mr. Miller, this is the permit that we intended to submit. But we want to go through the appropriate process and bring it to the board for approval before we go ahead and submit our check. We have got the check here today to submit that application.
I was just describing the process doesn't really require that. It could be approved by you if once we accept the application. But that was based on the motion you made last time as well. So I think if you're directing us, it should just be clear whether you would like the final permit to come back, whether you're directing staff to do a permit similar to what was done last year, only with the 5 years. If there are additional conditions you want to see, the more clear you are to both parties about what you want to see, the quicker we can settle this and bring it back to you.
So basically, we cannot go ahead and say we've got the 5 year. We need to approve finish the contract, correct?
Well, I think as soon as we have the check, we'll have
No.
As soon as we have their check, we'll have an application.
It's right there. I just provided some cashier's check intentionally.
So we now have since it doesn't say draft on it, we now have a complete application. So the only thing left to do is to direct staff as to whether or not the permit should be approved. Or if you want it to come back with conditions, or we'll just approve one with 5 years as it was written. Just so that whatever I do is backed by a motion.
Mr. President, I would like to ask, where does it say draft?
My mistake. I thought it was because that's how it was in my head. So if it's ready to go, it's ready to go.
Okay, and then the second
And we now have
comment
the
is,
check.
we already have a template for issuing a 3-year permit.
We do.
Right, we do. This was done on, at a previous, June 5th, 2013. We issued a 3-year permit for this contest. So we have the parameters and latitude to issue a multi-year use permit.
I didn't realize that the 213 was a 3-year permit, that had been issued like that.
Yeah, it's in the staff report on the minutes from June 5th, 2013.
On page 5.
So the precedent has been established for for a successful process for issuing multi-year use permits. So what the motion and second was for tonight was to approve this application and follow through with the multi-use permit that's been applied for from the cartel management.
I believe that if that's the intent of the motion, it's clear to me that I would simply approve this as a, the check's here, get the wet signatures on it, and it's done. That's my understanding. So if that's not what you want me to do, and in fact, that would be nice to actually have in the motion so that nobody's saying the last, that this is we have the application, the permit should be approved for 5 years. That would be great, and that would be perfectly clear, and no one could say Glenn did something he was not asked to do.
The only concern that I have is that the way we did it in 2013, like we heard today, caused concerns that were raised earlier this year. It brought up stumbling blocks for the permittee putting on the event for this coming winter, which was part of the multi-year permit. So I would be interested in seeing those ironed out, and that we have a multi-year permit that doesn't have these gray areas or cause for concern where questions can be raised later and cause additional problems. So I would like it to be clear in those areas where it wasn't maybe all the way clear.
There's ways to do that. I'm just trying to get the sense of the commission because, for example, if what you want to do is say go, let's say before we say go, can we make sure that, for example, although I think this makes common sense to me, that the question of rolling over fees, that the question of what was covered, which we did in this year's permit, what kind of expenses are reimbursable to the district? I think we covered all that in this year's permit. So I'm not exactly sure you're going to be spiff about the gray areas, because what I'll probably do is lengthen this permit to 5 years that we did last year and get the wet signatures on it and approve it. That's how I understand this motion should have passed.
Yes, through the chair.
But there's other gray areas just specified in the motion, and I promise I'll take care of them with common sense.
Here's the thing. I am just kind of feeling frustrated right now because there's a motion. I seconded it. I think we can decouple the approval of cartel application 5-year extension with the policy issue, which is the policy update or the special events policy. I mean, those are kind of two different issues. And right now I'm approving the cartel application. I'm fine with updating the special events policy and cleaning it up, tidying it up, and, making sure that there's no little issues that could arise. But in terms of the spirit of my vote, it's to approve this 5-year extension permit for Big Wave Contest event through March 2021. I hope that's clear. I mean, is that...
That's clear, and if that's the motion, that's pretty clear.
Thank you.
And I don't mean to interrupt, and I apologize if it feels like I'm taking more than my 3 minutes, but in order to address Commissioner David's concerns, when we dealt with the specific language of the 2015-2016 permit, worked very diligently with legal counsel for the district on working out the parameters for the formula, if you will, for how to deal with district costs. In addition to that, Cartel through me has proposed that the $11,600, which was the deposit to be paid for those things, would be provided subject to an escalator clause, a 5% escalator clause per year, just to account for the increase in costs that might entail over the years. between Mr. Miller and myself, for the 2015-2016 permit, basically we worked out the formula so that there is nothing that is going to come out of the district's pocket in terms of the costs associated with printing on this permit. From my perspective, this is a win-win because you guys get to cover your costs, we make sure money comes into the community.
And so, and Commissioner Bernardo and others, they must forgive me because this is, I just try to make sure I have a good CYA on it. So before there's a vote, I'd like to have Debbie Nixon read the motion back. And then if it's exactly what you want, I promise I will carry it out faithfully.
The motion pretty much was just to approve the 5-year multi-year permit with the window November 1 through March 31st of the years 16-17, 17-18, 18-19, 19-20, 20-21. A 5-year multi-year.
Because I've had a little bit of an interest in the contest in the past, which I've been very proud of and enjoyed participating, I'm going to recuse myself from voting because I believe that I was advised by council if we took up the permit, I shouldn't have a say since I have a potential stake in its outcome. So you want me to leave the room or be recused right here?
You should leave the room.
Commissioner David, please take over.
So I believe where we are, we have a motion and a second. Is there more discussion?
Do we need to close the door, or is it's fine? Okay. Yeah, are there any more comments, or? Yeah?
I would just like to say, first of all, just a couple of things. This is very routine, okay? This is so routine that I can't believe that this discussion lasted this long. We do this every 3 years. This is just an extension. So that we don't have to do this annually. Jeff and Cassandra and Mavericks, I mean, they've been good, long-time tenants of Pillar Point Harbor. On June 5th, 2013, we approved this already by a vote of 4-0 with 1 abstention. So, the commission approved it back then. This management company is tested and proven. I mean, that's pretty obvious. So that's why I am supporting this wholeheartedly. And more importantly, this is a message. It sends a message of confidence and good faith in Cartel and what they're doing, and to the potential advertisers and all of the other people who have been maybe questioning, whether or not we can do this and should we do this. Of course we should do this. It's ridiculous. So yes, I am supporting it.
Commissioner Paravano.
Thank you. I would like to add that, in tonight's public comments, we heard a diverse group of people that commented on the success and the positive impact of this event on our community. And a vote against this would really send a very negative message of, are we able to partner with our community people, with our community organizations? As a Harbor District and have a long-time tenant and resident of the coast side, I have seen this event grow from just a very small event to a very well-respected event. And as the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce stated, people ask close to 363 times a year, where's Mavericks? And to me, that sends a very strong signal that the group that has submitted this application has done an excellent job in making sure that this event is safe, that it stays in the community, and it is very representative of an art and skill that is not found in many places in the world. We are very fortunate as residents of this coastside to have Mavericks as one of our own geological features. Not many places can advertise and promote that. We here at the Harbor District as commissioners need to promote and need to partner with people that have done extraordinary amount of work in promoting this event. So that's where I am in favor of supporting.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Bernardo?
Aye.
Commissioner Brennan?
Abstain.
Commissioner David?
Aye.
Commissioner Paravano?
Aye.
President Mathush?
Motion passes. Cassandra, could you send Tom back in, please?